Welcome back to the She Cultivates podcast. My name is Elizabeth Savillon, and I am your host for this podcast. Here we talk about all things cultivating your best self, your relationships, your community, going after your dreams, and how to do that, and walking you through real conversations of how that looks like. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review. All of that helps us to grow, and I would love to hear what you would love to hear more about. On this week's podcast episode, I shared last week that I'm getting back in the flow of things, and I would love to just have a conversation on what it looked like before I found my relationship and where was I at, how did it even start out, and what I have learned through it. I know a lot of you guys came from the podcast when I talked about singlehood, when I talked about briefly dating, but I am in a full-on committed relationship now, and it is very different. But it didn't happen, it did happen out of nowhere, but I feel like I was cultivating who I wanted to be all these past years. And so on this week's episode, I will be sharing what just advice I feel like I wish I would have known before and the things that I have learned throughout the process. So where I found my boyfriend, or where we actually met, was at Salsa Heat. So it was in salsa class. It is crazy because I always said that I would never date someone from salsa, and I was like, absolutely not. Like, everyone just dates each other and it's just not going to happen here. I had been going to salsa classes since 2022, and that is something that if you follow me on Instagram, I had been posting about. I have did that weekly. And in November of 2024, I had taken a break because I had really bad migraines and I was just not feeling the best. And so January 2025, I started going back, and I actually went with one of my friends. And my friend, she wanted to get back into it. And she's like, oh my God, I've always wanted to go, but I have no one to go with. And I'm like, oh, perfect. Let's go this Monday. I'm also trying to get back into it. And so let's just go. So I went with her to a beginner's class. And as I am there at the beginner's class, after class, we're good. And we're just talking. And this guy slowly approaches. And she's like, oh my God, like, what are you doing here? Like, and she's like, oh, this is my cousin. And he introduced himself. And I said, hello. And I was like, oh, wow, what a small world, like that he goes there. And all that to know is that I had known my boyfriend's cousin for the last 10 years, and I never knew that. And that was the first initial introduction. Come to find out later that actually he knew about me like a year and a half ago through another friend. And it's just crazy how like alignment and the timing, because I was not expecting that. After that one initial introduction, it was like, okay, like, nice to meet you, blah, blah. I go on, and I'm still going to classes maybe like once a week, and I would see him in passing, or we would just make small conversation. I think at the end of January, we recorded a video, like we would switch partners. And so we recorded a video on my phone, and I actually posted it on my Instagram. And he's like, hey, like, send me the video. And so he's like, I don't know AirDrop, but like, just text me it. And so then I texted him the video that we did together, and we just were making small conversation. And from there, he got my number, and we were just briefly texting. And over a few weeks, on February 12th, after class, he tells me this crazy story that he's like, hey, after class, I have something to tell you. And I'm like, what? Like, this is weird. Like, what do you have to tell me? Because pretty much we would only talk when we were in class. And he was like, well, just after class, I'll tell you. And so after class, we were outside, and he's like, hey, like, so I know this is a crazy story, but like a year and a half ago, someone came to my job, and as we were talking, getting like more personal, they're like, hey, like, I think you would be great for my friend. And she showed him a picture of me, and I had blonde hair at the time. So this was 2023. And he's like, oh, okay, I think I've seen that girl. Come to find out, he had been going to salsa class since 2017. I started in 2022, and he was just on and off. Like, he just wouldn't be as consistent, but he was still going. And he's like, oh, I think I've seen her in passing or something. And he's like, so when I saw you with my cousin, I remember the conversation that I had with the client, and I was like, oh my God, that's her. But I had dark hair now. And he's like, so that's like a perfect introduction into her. But literally a year and a half since that meeting with my friend, which shout out to Carolina, because she literally was the one that kind of introduced him to me. And from there, that's how he knew about me. And then that's when he saw me with his cousin. It was like, oh my God, this is an in. And so he talked to me that day. What's crazy is that when I go back to like 2023, I was getting back into dating, and Carolina, she had told me, she's like, hey, like, don't hate me, but I told a guy about you. And I'm like, okay. Like, she's like, yeah, she's like, he was at a bank, whatever. But literally that conversation came and went. She's like, so if someone comes up to you in salsa, like, just know it was me. I totally forgot about that conversation. And I would still go to salsa, and I was like, like, okay, if someone tells me, but like, if not, like, fine, you know? I'm not thinking anything about it. And literally January 2025 is when we met and we actually started talking. And maybe we did see each other in passing. Maybe we did see each other at a social, but like, we don't remember. Like, we genuinely don't. Like, I genuinely do not. And so it is crazy how everything like aligned. And so we went after class when we were talking, he's telling me this. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, that is, oh my God. And he's friends with one of my friends. Like, that's crazy. I mean, he's cousins of one of my friends. And so literally because of that intro, after that, he's like, so like, are you still single? And I'm like, yes. Are you? He's like, yeah. He's like, do you want to go get a drink? And I'm like, well, I don't drink, but I'm open to get like a mocktail or something. And he's like, yeah, let's do that. So we went to Bar Louie as our first date, or our first hangout, as I would say. But for him, it was a date. And so we went out and we talked, and we were out for like 2 hours. I remember calling my sister on the way over there. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm going on a date with someone tonight, and yeah, just letting you know, like, here's my pin location. She's like, oh my God. She's like, okay, well, let me know how it goes. I was kind of like briefly telling her like, oh, he knows this person and all of that. And literally that was the day before I was going to find out if I had a tumor in my brain. So backtrack, because of my migraines that I was having, I actually ended up going to get a CT scan and an MRI, and they found something in my scan. So because of that, I had to go get even more further tests and scans. And honestly, that day when he was telling me that, I was kind of like YOLO, like, you know what? Like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So today I'm going to live it up. And so that is literally why it gave me the confidence to even say yes to go out with him that day. And then that was literally the night. And then on the 13th is when I had my appointment, and they actually told me that they didn't find anything. And so I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So all that to say, it was just one of those seasons that you're just like, how the heck, like, during this all happening, then we just meet and we hang out and go on a date. And then from there, literally, we had such a good time. He was very easy to talk to. We had same like humor, you know, and I just felt like very comfortable around him. And I was like, this is weird, but also like, okay, I'm interested. He's cute, so why not? And then from that date, literally, I did not hear from him for like 2 or 3 days. And I'm like, maybe it's not going to go anywhere. But then he hit me up again, and he's like, hey, had a great time. Like, we'll love to see you again. I end up getting sick right before an event. I end up rescheduling the date, and then we end up hanging out probably like 2 weeks later. And from there, we would see each other at salsa class because he was still going to salsa. I was too. And then literally from there on out, we started dating, and in April we became official. And yeah, now we've been dating 10 months, officially in like a year since we went on our first date. So it is crazy. And so all that to say is that how everything happened was like one of those things of like, wow, so we've kind of known about each other maybe, or we could have met earlier, but it was like the timing of everything. Also in the beginning of the year, I was in 2025, I was like, I'm open to dating. I'm going to say yes more. I'm going to put myself out there. I had actually gone on like a date like that month. And I also had gone to like a dating social, to like speed date, And so I was like putting myself out there and I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, but like, I'm going to put it out there. I even put it like on my vision board, which I was like, okay, Lord, like if it happens, cool. If not, like I'm okay. And, that was like also like very bold of me to, I guess, do. And so me doing that was just like a step of like faith. Like I'm going to put it out there if it happens, if it doesn't. And I feel like where I was mentally, it was like I was just open and like just hopeful that it's like, hey, like, I feel like I'm at that place in life. I'm 29, I'm going to turn 30 this year. Like I just want to bring it in wherever it comes from, but like I'm open. And I also feel like I was continuing to do the things that I love. And I feel like when people tell me like what was the best thing that I ever did for myself, like aside from therapy, it was really learning to love my own quality time, my own time with myself, having solo dates, finding hobbies that I like, because those are the things that you build a full life around, that you're not like, oh my God, desperate. Like I need to find someone. Like it's more like I love my life. And I remember telling him like very early on, I'm like, honestly, I really liked being single. Like, and in the beginning, I was kind of being a little too intense about that. I'm like, I honestly don't mind being single. Like, I actually love, like, I've traveled by myself, I've gone to things. And I was like, but I love my relationship with you. Like I do now, I see, I'm like, wow, like, and now I get to do this, all this sort of stuff with my partner now versus when I was single, like, and by myself. And I feel like in the beginning too, like I was just very straightforward of like what I wanted, who I was. I was like, hey, this is my story. I remember the first time I told him my story of my childhood, of like relationship stuff that I've gone through. And he was very attentive to it, very understanding, very empathetic. And he didn't go away. Like he didn't like run away because of it. He was just like, I'm so sorry that you've been through that. And he like held space for it. And I was like, okay, this is different. Like I feel like I can be open and honest and vulnerable, and like even me dressing up all the time and like being extra. I remember on one date, he was like, okay, like, yeah, we're going to go out like here, like dress however you dress. And I'm like, oh, I'm bringing out the heels and like the dress and like everything. And we went to this Italian restaurant and it was very casual. And I was like in this long dress and heels. And he's like, okay, so I see that you like overdress, like you like dressing up. I'm like, yeah, this is me. And he's like, honestly, I love it. Like you're very classy. He's like, I love that you love getting ready and doing all of that. And I'm like, I love this. Like I felt like I wasn't judged for being myself. Like he actually really appreciated that about me. And then when I started telling him about coffee, and he was like, oh, you like to go to coffee shops? Like that's cool. And we literally, since we started dating, we have been to so many coffee shops, probably like 50 coffee shops together. And like, that's one of our favorite things that we do. And so it was like all the things that I genuinely loved already to do, like salsa dancing, coffee shops, getting dressed up, being, like just extra in myself. Like he was very open to it, and having the deep conversations. One of the games that we first did when we were dating in the car was let's get deep. I was like, I'm going to pull out these deck of cards and I'm going to ask you all these questions. And he was like really excited about it. And he was very open and he was like, like I actually like this game. Like this is pretty fun. And I remember like a lot of the things that I've always been told I was too much about, or like just very like closed off, or like, oh, like you're just very extra, like change this about you. He was very accepting and loving towards. And I feel like that healed something in me, because I'm like, wow, like I feel like I can be me and I'm still loved, versus trying to be what he wants me to be. Same with like, just feeling comfortable in my body and just feeling comfortable about myself. We went on a beach date, like one of our first ones. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I am so scared. Like I just feel like so vulnerable right now. And I just feel very comfortable. Like it was just me being able to be me, and I really do think that that is something that I've learned. Like, first, if he likes you, you'll know. Like, and if he hates you or he doesn't like you, you'll also know, because it's like the consistency won't be there. And something that I would always tell him is like, honestly, you are so consistent. Like, if you say you're going to call me, you always call me. If you say we're going to hang out, we're going to hang out. Like, if you say you're going to come and get me, like, you're going to come and get me. And he would literally, since we started dating, on Sundays, he lives 30 minutes away from me, and we go to church by his house, and he drives 30 minutes to me, 30 minutes back to the church, and then later on at night, he drives 30 minutes back to drop me off. And I'm like, wow, like, if you wanted to, you would. Like, if you care, you will, And those are just areas that I feel like that showed me, like, that is what the commitment is, like that consistency and their willingness as a man to show up for you. Like, they will do the thing, like they will go the extra mile. Like, even for coffee shops, it's like, oh, hey, like this might be too far away. He's like, no, you want to go there? Like, we'll go there. And we literally drive 30 minutes or 40 minutes to go to a spot just because I really want to go there. And I'm like, those are just little things. But for someone that never dealt with consistency, was very on and off, cold and hot, it means a lot, because it's like, that is what builds trust. And that's what builds that vulnerability of like, I can be safe here. And to be honest, me building my safety net has been a work. Like, it has been a process of me feeling safe, because as someone that has gone through a toxic relationship, you kind of have this like natural defense mechanism of like, you're not going to hurt me again. Like, I'm not going to get played that way. Like, I'm just very guarded. And I feel like it has taken time to feel that, and he's like, I sense that like, you're not, like, even to talk about the future. Like, I remember in the beginning, he was like, I feel a little bit nervous to like say a lot of stuff about the future, because I feel like you're like gonna freak out. And I'm like, I mean, no, like, I want you to, it makes me feel comfortable. Like, when you talk about the future, you talk about us and things like that. I was like, but I definitely feel like on guard to not get love bombed. And I don't want you to just like fake all this sort of stuff unless you mean it. So I'm like, unless you mean what you say, like, don't say it. Don't talk about the future unless you're really serious about it. And he's like, but I am serious about it. And I'm like, all right, well, we're going to need more time. And so a lot of that has honestly been a lot of patience, consistency, and honestly, me realizing also that I needed to do a lot of work still. I am someone that, yes, has gone to therapy and all of that, but I think I definitely was on my high horse thinking like, oh, like, I'm going to be fine. Like, the person that I'm going to end up with has to have gone to therapy for this many years and be so open to this. And that was not the case. He's open to growth and mental health and all of that, but he hasn't gone through that same journey as me. Like, we have been through different things. And so my expectations, right, are like maybe at a certain unrealistic level of what men naturally are. Like, there's a higher rate of women that go to therapy versus men. There's higher rates of therapists that are female versus men. There's just like a different culture and space for men to do that, And so it's like, am I willing to like work through things and also understand that I still need to work through some things and compromise, So certain expectations or certain things that I'm like, no, it has to be this way. It's like, no, like, you're in a relationship and you need to like trust, and you need to just be more open, to seeing how it's a give and take. And so when it came to me trusting, right, it was like, ultimately that was my decision. Like, there's actions, right, that someone can do, but ultimately I have to learn to trust and let go. My control part, right? Like, I am like the type A. I will say that one thing he has helped me so much is to be more relaxed and be more calm. Like, even my sisters have said it, like, you were a little bit more chill, which we love that, because I was just a little bit intense back in the day, And so being in a relationship with him has helped me to like lower my anxiety and to trust and to ultimately know that like he wants the best for me and he believes in me. when he came to my business, like he wasn't threatened by it. He was excited for it. I remember in June, when he went to my podcast party for the first time and he actually saw like what I do with She Cultivates, and he's like, wow, like this is amazing. He brought flowers and he was just like excited, and he's like, wow, I feel like you like downplayed like what you do, and then now being here, it's like, I love this. Like, you should continue doing it. Because I feel like in the beginning of the relationship, I was just trying to like have fun and just be myself. And I'm like, I'm not going to make it about like, I'm this independent woman that doesn't need a man. Like, I really was like, I just want to be open to this and do things differently and not come off so defensive or like hurt, from the past. It's like, it's not his fault, like what I've been through, and like I've healed through that stuff. So it's like, I want to just give it a chance and be more open, and I did, and so I feel like that helped me to lower my guard a little bit over time, like seeing that consistency, seeing how supportive, seeing how open, and then being like, all right. And so those are areas that I feel like we were able to grow in, and that taught me, like, I have areas to ultimately grow in. My anxiety of the future, to be honest, like that was another thing. I was just very anxious about like getting hurt in the beginning, right? And I was also very anxious about how the future will play out. Like, okay, I want to make sure that we don't date for 5 years, like I want to make sure all of this. And I slowly realized like my anxiety was just I was like self-sabotaging. And I'm like, I need to take a step back. Like, I need to like not allow my fear to ruin something that can be good. Like, I don't know where it's going to lead yet. And it's like me being open and trusting and being like, just enjoy the journey, trust the process, versus being so rigid. Like, it has to be like this. Like, if you don't do this, this and this, it's like, I've learned like you have to have silent standards for yourself, and like you have to set those standards for yourself, that it's like, if you see them acting a certain way, or if you see a guy, then it's like you ultimately decide if that's what you want. But you don't tell them like, oh, if you do this, then I'm leaving. It's like, no, if you see them do that and you have a discussion, it's like, then you leave if they do it again. Like, it's not a back and forth, that's not boundaries. That's like trying to manipulate things to work a certain way, And so boundaries is like, well, this is where my line is, whether you do it or not, like this is my line. And it's also like communicating versus shutting down. Like, there was times that I'm like, like my expectation of what a healthy relationship would be like, okay, like you'll never have issues. Like you'll never, it's like, no, like you will have conflict, because that's part of it. Like that's part of being in a relationship with anybody, and like, but it was amazing to see how it's like, wow, like we actually can have a discussion and it's like, we're fine after. Like, we talk about it, we talk it through, and then we're like, I love you, we're good. Like, if you have anything else to say towards the topic, let's talk about it. Like, and nobody leaves or storms out, and if you do have a moment where you're like human and you maybe don't act like your best self, like then you come back and be like, hey, like, I'm sorry for that. Like, that I did not mean that. Like, I apologize. This is what really was the issue. And then you guys are good. Like, it's not building on resentment. It's actually like you're able to work through the situations. And to be honest, in December, I was just going through a lot of everything that I feel like the year, the discouragements, disappointments, grief, like it all was hitting me in December. And I feel like I was like the worst version of myself. I feel like I was like on my period swings, like emotionally, like every week. And I remember like crying, and I was like, I feel like I'm like, it's hard for me to let down my guard for you to see like the most like hard, vulnerable version of me. And he's like, you do not have to perform. Like, I am here for you. And like, I want you to be open with me. And like, I'm not asking you to be perfect all the time. But those were expectations that I had of myself. Like, I felt like that was such a vulnerable thing to have, like a hard day. Like, I felt like I always had to be perky and happy and like everything was fine, And I feel like me being able to get there was like what I needed to then fully like, okay, like I'm good. Like, I'm safe here. And that is how I feel now. Like, it's like, I feel like I've journeyed through, the things that I've learned, right, that I've applied in the relationship, but also continuing learning areas and like speaking up versus like being quiet, like in other moments where I would maybe shut down. It's like, actually, hey, like this is really what's bothering me, and I'm going to be honest about it. Like if I don't want to do something, I actually say, hey, I don't really want to do something. Or if I want to compromise, or if something actually hurts me, like I'm speaking up versus shutting down, because that's what builds that resentment, And so it's been a learning curve. It has been figuring out my new flow, with everything, even with friendships. Like that has been an adjustment of my time. I think because I was single for almost 5 years, like as a single woman, like you are pretty much available and try to be there for everybody, like, checking in, being intentional, because you do have time. But also it's like how you are single, like you actually reach out more for connection, like whether with friends or family. But then dating, it was an adjustment, and I feel like I was trying to like figure out my flow for like 6 months of like, okay, like we love spending time together, but I'm also like don't want to lose myself. And I was scared to lose myself. I'm like, I want to continue doing the things, but also being realistic of like this season's gonna look different, and that's okay. And sometimes, honestly, like you stepping back from certain friendships, you start seeing who's really there. You start seeing if you always were the one going to them, or you were always the one reaching out, how that relationship changes. And the friendships that are there for a long term, then those are the friendships that they adjust, and then they compromise, meaning that then you're like, oh, actually they'll start reaching out to you and be like, hey, like I miss you, I know you're busy, but like I would love to see you. And there were friendships that I feel like I lost last year, and friendships I've gained last year, and like through me being in a relationship, because it has changed and it's evolved. Now you're thinking about the future, now you're with this person, but you're also like building your business, and you're also doing other things. But it's like you also get to see like what really matters for you, And I think also because of the loss of last year with his mom, I think I also realized like I had very limited capacity of being able to be there for everybody else, because I was also navigating through something I had never gone through, And so it was how to navigate through that while, just navigating your own emotions. And I think I just had to be more like understanding that it's like, it doesn't mean just because people don't reach out, it doesn't mean that, like, not taking things so personal. And so it has definitely been a learning curve, but also been reassuring of the future. I feel like now I am more confident. I'm like, okay, we are in a committed relationship, and like my anxieties, when they come up, it's like silencing them and being like, okay, like what's really the issue, and talking them out. Or some things like just not letting my emotions control me, because ultimately the fear is just about the unknown of things you can't control. But it's like, what about if things do work out? Like things, you've already gone through some hard things, Liz, and that's what I tell myself. It's like, you can get through anything. Like you've gone through hard things, and if regardless, like you care about yourself, you love yourself, and you are doing the best with the knowledge and information that you have now, and that is enough, And so as I'm cultivating myself and growing and all these things, it's also understanding that it's like, I'm not going to have the whole picture, and that's okay. And for someone that can be anxious about the future, it's like that can be hard sometimes. But having to trust and pray and be like, God, like you're in it, you're going to lead it. And, ultimately, like that's out of my control, And so we've just learned so much throughout the time. And I would say something that has just always felt different, right, in this relationship is just how I feel so close in such a short amount of time. Like I feel like we've had the hard conversations, like we are working through things, seeing each other grow in areas, like, and just have fun together. Like that's something about, something that I appreciate is like, we just have a lot of fun. I have, just learned, right, throughout the time, and like how everything had prepared me for this, like everything that I had, me cultivating the best self of my best self, it's like, it's crazy, because like then it clicks and you meet someone and then you're like, wow, I'm in a relationship now. Like, who would have thought, you know? And I've been able to celebrate, like in the past year, like 2 of my close friends get married and just seeing them in their season. And so it's just like an exciting time, but also a learning time. And I'm still growing. I'm not a relationship expert. I'm not someone that says like, oh my God, I have it all together. Like, no, it's more of like the things that I would have, that like a few months ago, like 10 months ago, I'm so glad that I gave that chance, you know, and like was open and just open to being in a relationship and having a positive mindset about it and involving my friends and family in it and, you know, allowing them. And I remember I would be like, hey, like, am I losing myself? Like, tell me if I'm doing stuff, like, and they would challenge me and, you know, tell me. And so I'm just very grateful for the season I'm in now and just kind of planning for the future and seeing how it will be. And so if you're dating or if you're in that beginning stage of the anxiety, the questions and all of that, just ask yourself, like, do you love who you are becoming with this person? Do you enjoy your time with them? Are you in your head most of the time, or are you present? Are you putting those standards that actually are important to you? Because there's certain things that are like non-negotiables no matter what, like what your values are. That's very important that you have that written down. And then also giving people the chance, being open to like things might not look how you thought they would, but it's like maybe God has something better than what you thought would be your story. And so giving yourself that chance and that hope that can turn into like something great, you know? And so I'm really happy with, you know, how things are and just excited to share more about that. And so I hope that if this episode helped you, if you can just kind of think about like what that looks like for you, or, you know, if you just listened because you wanted to know like how it even started. It's like, it's crazy. I will be having him soon on the podcast to share his side of the story, but just very excited and very just hopeful that you are continuously cultivating your best self, and that looks by having, you know, different things happen in life that might not be how you thought, but they can also end up better than you would have ever imagined. And so if you want to share this with a friend, make sure to tag us on social media at Elizabeth Sabby, and we have different resources for you. For our Patreon community, where you can download and get just different things that will help you to cultivate your best self. So make sure to go to the show notes and check out the link below. And if you are a local in Orlando, make sure to join our She Cultivates ORL community, which we are growing with monthly events and a space for you to find your people. So I will see you guys next week.